Sharing is Caring by Itslivybear, Chapter 9. We skipped the cavalry battle completely, actually. Izuku couldn't believe the screen, only hearing the murmur of Mike announcing the end of the second round in the background. He had known, of course, that they had lost the 10 million and hadn't gotten it back, but he had only managed to snag a very low point headband. But they had still gotten fourth, all thanks to Tokoyami's quick thinking. Hatsumi and Uraraka were jumping around and laughing, happy to have made it into the final round, and Izuku couldn't help but eye the other teams. Todoroki with Shirazaki, Yaoyorozu, and Kaminari. Bakugo with Ida, Kirishima, and Sero. Shoji with Asui and a girl from 1B, Setsuna. Midnight cracked her whip. We need 16 people for the final round, so will our 5th place team, Team Onuma, send someone forward? The group of 4 1B students Izuku didn't recognize debated amongst themselves before the tall, purple-haired boy was pushed forward, looking exhausted and mildly annoyed, but he walked towards their art teacher regardless. And your name, cutie? Shinzo Hatoshi. She smiled coyly. Great. We'll just get your name down in the tournament. Some good friends you have, willing to give up their spots for you. He nodded slightly, ears dusted a little red, and Izuku blinked and looked away. Why was he so drawn to this guy?
With that, we have all 16 competitors for our third round. Watch the board for the matchups, people.
Izuku rounded back to the board, incredibly anxious. As long as he didn't have to fight Bakugo or Todoroki first, he had a chance. Soji Mezu versus Uraraka Ochako. Midoriya Izuku versus Shirazaki Ibara. Setsuna Tokoichi versus Sero Hanada. Kirishima Ijiro versus Todoroki Shoto. Kaminari Denki versus Tokoyami Fukuichi. Shinzo Hitoshi versus Asui Suyu. Yaoyorozu Momo versus Bakugo Katsuki. Ida Tenya versus Hatsumi Mei. Oh, Shirazaki. Well, time to get planning, since they had a little break.
We'll be back after a half-hour break so our wonderful competitors can eat some lunch. Yeah!
He could do this. Uraraka wasn't as strong as Soji, but they were both melee fighters, and all she had to do was touch him. It took a while, both of them showing off good hand-to-hand, but she finally managed to brush him and set him hurtling out of the arena, securing her win and safe passage onto the next round.
On one side, green. On the other side, also green. Please welcome the Lady of the Blind, Shirazaki Ibara, versus the Lean Green and Mean Machine, Midoriya Izuku.
Izuku didn't think anything about him was particularly mean, and him being lean was debatable unless Mike was actually talking about how short he was. Then he was totally accurate. Shirazaki briefly clasps her hands together in prayer, not giving time for the beam of light, it had to be a soulmate quirk, to descend on her before she looked up. Midoriya, I wish you a good battle. He bobbed his head in agreement and took a stance, one drilled into him by Uraraka this past week and a half, that was best for grappling. Shirazaki had range, and he knew that her control was not as great in close quarters as it was in a distance. If he was fast, he could maybe move in fast enough to throw her out of the ring like Uraraka had done with Soji. He was strong enough to lift her for sure. He blocked out all noises past the sharp call to start and the crack of the whip and pushed forward with all his might, dodging sweeping green and thorny vines. They came out of her head to cocoon her, but he had no qualms ignoring the digging into his arms as he lifted the entire mass, grunting from the effort and swinging her like a disc before hurling her to the side out of the ring.
In an incredibly short match, Midori has taken out the Dizen of the Wild in an impressive display of strength. Eraserhead! What are you feeding these kids? He's tiny!
No, he came like that. His size is deceiving.
Alrighty, no major injuries. Won't recovery girl be pleased? Clear out your kids so we can get on with things.
Shirazaki uncurled herself from the mess of vines and blinked before sighing. I thank you for your battle, Midoriya. May God bless you with favor in your future. He bobbed again, not really sure how to respond, and blinked away the pain that suddenly overtook his arms and palms. Midnight gave him a once-over and winced. You might want to see Archie for that, green bean. Looks painful, and you moved on. Stay safe, kiddos. Her personality immediately switched as she turned away, reverting to her seductive persona as the next people came out, Sero and that 1B girl, Setsuna. He wished Sero luck out of solidarity for 1A kids before ducking into the hallways to find the temporary infirmary. Recovery girl immediately tutted over the punctured wounds that were sometimes oozing blood before giving him a gentle kiss, closing all the wounds and wiping away the blood. No need to change uniforms, she remarked dryly. Just a few tears and stains that could be patched and washed out. Off you go then. He was in the tunnels when he heard Setsuna win.
With a display of her soulmate's quirks, Setsuna takes the win. For legal reasons, we will not be elaborating or specifying the soulmate.
Izuku would have to watch the clips later, or maybe ask classmates. He stepped up into the light of the 1A section to people ragging on Soji. Come on, man, it has to be you. Her ears turned into hands. Like, come on. The tentacled boy shrugged. Cage didn't want to hide it or anything, but don't go spreading it around. I mean, like Mike said, heroes don't like advertising it if they can help it. Too risky. Hakaguri cooed. You call her Shadow? I mean, I know that's based on her name, but it's still so cute. Oji, where's my cute nickname? Ojiro sighed. Sure, how about Mashmushi? That's cute. Viper? Why? He immediately raised his hands to defend himself as the invisible girl started beating him mercilessly, and Izuku turned away with a small smile. Hakagiri didn't have a soulmate, and Ojiro didn't know his, so they had gotten together about a week ago, to the general glee of the class, who were always happy for something to distract them. Romance, an excellent option. All of a sudden, a huge glacier encased half the arena, leaving everyone shivering in the shadow of the hulking mass of ice.
And with an impressive display of strength, Todoroki Shota has knocked Kirishima out of the running. We're gonna be taking a 10-minute break to clear the arena, but stay tuned.
Izuku could only blink, tentatively reaching up to touch the ice that was slowly starting to drip in the afternoon sun. What had happened to make Todoroki so upset? Shota was fuming in the locker room. He hadn't meant to take it out on Kirishima, not really, but his father had just been ridiculous. He pulled out his phone and opened a very full text conversation. Hot hair. That seemed a little excessive, and something tells me it was not out of passion. I see. It was not. I see. He brought up sushi again. Hot air. I didn't think he was allowed in the student sections. I see. Use your fire so the Zoni see the merit of your bond. Please fuck off and die. I see. And no, but he can get away with a lot of things. Hot air. I hate him very much. I see. I am considering running away. Hot air. Last time lasted 3 hours. Good luck, haha. I see. And he didn't even notice. Hot air. He cannot see past his own rage and hatred. It is horrible. I see. Well, as long as I love rehashing this every few hours. I see. I also don't. I see. I will text you again later, probably. But I did win, so I have to go back. Hot air. Consider dropping out to make your father angry. I see. You just want to see me lose. Hot air. Perhaps. I see. Regardless, I still need to prove I can win with only my mother's ice. I see. You know this. Hot air. I still want to see you lose. I see. Fair enough. Hot air. Ha! I do believe it is, however, customary for those in a relationship to go out to eat to celebrate things like this. Hot air. Where do you want to go? I see. Cold soba. Hot air. You always pick cold soba. I see. Because I like cold soba. I see. If we go to the place on 3rd, I'm pretty sure they have. I see. Ugh. I see. Hot soba. I see. As well. Hot air. I'm considering McDonald's as an option. I see. Whatever. It will make him mad. I see. Public enough? Hot air. Todoroki, it's McDonald's. I see. You say that like he ever let me go. Hot air. That's it. We're going to McDonald's. Icy. Whatever. Icy. I'm leaving now. Hot air. I hope you lose. Icy. Thanks. He rolled his eyes at the message and slid the phone back into his locker, almost looking forward to getting McDonald's. He never would have allowed it, being fast food, but Shota was a king at rebelling against what he wanted, and if that's what his not boyfriend wanted, that was acceptable. Plus, he had no doubt it would starve off the arranged marriage to Osaka Sushichi for longer. Seeing Shoto in public with an apparent lover had worked well enough in the past. Plus, Sushi hated the marriage as well. She completely supported this. Neither of them had found soulmates yet. Sushi not thinking she ever would. Her younger sibling had a soulmate, also a child of a pro, but he had been keen to secure Shoto with a match that would bear advantageous children. What better to add fire and ice than earth, after all? It was Sushi's mother, rather than her pro hero father, who was keen on the marriage, but she was wealthy, she had power, and she saw that in the Todoroki family. She would do anything to tie her daughter to their family, and both of them hated it. Enter Suki. Suki was a girl, for one thing, meaning no children, and Sushi actually liked her quite a bit. To make matters better, she was quirkless. Sushi was very eager to remind her mother that if your soulmate was quirkless, you wouldn't know. But Ozani Gansiki was not easily swayed, snarking that then Suki would be able to move Earth as Sushi did. Besides, she reasoned, bitched. Todoroki's Shoto was an advantageous match, even disregarding quirks, with his legacy and wealth, where Suki was essentially a street girl. And then Sushi had introduced Insania. The four of them were honest friends, if nothing else, and Yorahashi Insania quickly became a plus one to Gala's. Of course, Gensiki had tried saying that even Insania Windquirk would be a better fit than Suki. Which, of course, is when Suki had a marvelous idea. In a gesture that was sure to piss off both families, Shoto was to pretend to date Insania, just like Suki was dating Sushi, making all four of them completely off limits. The more public their outings were, the better, and soon the press caught on, talking about the hairs to Endeavor and Rumble taking people on dates. Could these young elites have found their soulmates? What do their parents have to say? It was fantastic. Of course, Insania had only agreed to because it would piss off him, seeing as he hated the man almost as much as Shoto did, but they managed to get along. Sort of. Okay. Making snarking each other into oblivion didn't count as getting along, but Shoto actually somewhat enjoyed going on fake dates with Insania every time. He got a large stick up his ass and tried to call the relationship a farce. It was, but he didn't have to know that. Shoto was convinced that he didn't actually have a soulmate, or like Sushi, had one who was quirkless, since all his powers just seemed like fire and ice, nothing special. Suki discovered she could use tremor sense, something Sushi had gotten from her father along with her blindness. They held a large party when they discovered it, because now that they were confirmed to probably actually be soulmates, Gansiki had less grounds to push the marriage. Now all Shoto had to do was find his, but in the meantime, Insania was fine and certainly a good way to throw off the scent. He took a deep breath and fully calmed down, putting him and his words to the back of his mind. He had a good long while until his next match, but he didn't know how much Setsuna, other than her quirk and her soulmate. He would beat her, just using his mother's ice. He would. Izuku watched the board completely switch to the second set of matchups and swallowed, sharing a smile with Uraraka. Midoriya Izuku versus Uraraka Ochako, Setsuna Tokoridge versus Todoroki Shoto, Tokoyami Fukage versus Shinzo Hitoshi, Ida Tenya versus Bakugo Katsuki. He could do this. He could.